Hi, welcome to the quiz. You can answer along on quizalto.com, all for free. The exact URL of this quiz will be in the notes down below. Let's get started. Good luck. What is the maximum number of state transitions allowed in a single AWS Step Function's execution? 50,000. 1,000. 25,000. 10,000. AWS Step Functions allows a maximum of 25,000 state transitions in a single execution, providing ample room for complex workflows without hitting limits. What is the purpose of the choice state in AWS Step Functions? To add conditional logic to the workflow. To start a parallel execution. To pass data between states. To retry failed tasks. The choice state in AWS Step Functions allows you to add conditional logic to your workflow, directing the flow based on the output of a previous task or predefined conditions. What is the purpose of the default field in a choice state? To define a fallback task. To specify the default transition. To provide default output. To set default parameters. The default field in a choice state of AWS Step Function specifies the state to transition to if none of the choice rules match, acting as a catch-all. Which service can Step Functions use for serverless container orchestration? AWS Lambda. Amazon Lightsail. Amazon EKS. AWS Fargate. Step Functions can use AWS Fargate for serverless container orchestration, allowing you to run containerized tasks without managing servers. What is the purpose of the comment field in a state machine definition? To flag deprecated states. To add human-readable descriptions. To mark draft sections. To inject code comments. The comment field in an AWS Step Function state machine definition allows you to add human-readable descriptions, improving clarity for developers. What is the purpose of the parameters field in a task state? To set task priority. To configure retry policies. To provide input to the invoked service. To define task timeouts. The parameters field in a task state of AWS Step Functions is used to provide input to the invoked service, allowing you to pass data in the format the service expects. What is the maximum length of a state machine definition in AWS Step Functions? 256 kilobytes. 512 kilobytes. 1 megabyte. 2 megabytes. The maximum length of a state machine definition in AWS Step Functions is 1 megabyte, allowing for the creation of complex workflows with many states and transitions. Which service can Step Functions use for containerized tasks? AWS Lambda. AWS Batch. Amazon EC2. Amazon Elastic Container Service. Step Functions can use Amazon ECS to run containerized tasks, providing flexibility for workloads that require specific runtime environments or dependencies. Which AWS service can Step Functions use for human approval tasks? AWS Lambda, Amazon Mechanical Turk, Amazon SQS, Amazon Simple Notification Service. Step functions can use Amazon SNS to send notifications to humans for approval tasks, pausing the workflow until a decision is received. Which state can be used to implement a do-while loop in step functions? Loop state, while state, iterator state, choice state with self-reference. A do-while loop in AWS Step Functions can be implemented using a choice state that references itself as the next state when the condition is true. Which feature in step functions allows dynamic parallelism? Choice state branches, wait state with callbacks, parallel state, map state with item processor. The map state with the item processor feature in AWS Step Functions allows for dynamic parallelism, adjusting the number of parallel executions based on the input array's size. Which AWS service can be directly integrated with step functions for parallel data processing? Amazon RDS, AWS CloudFormation, AWS Batch, Amazon S3. AWS Batch can be directly integrated with step functions to run multiple jobs in parallel, making it ideal for high-performance computing and large-scale data processing tasks. Which AWS service can be used to store execution history of step functions? AWS Backup, Amazon S3, Amazon EFS, Amazon CloudWatch Logs. Amazon CloudWatch Logs is used by AWS Step Functions to store execution history, providing a detailed record of each state transition and task outcome. Which service can step functions use for data transformation tasks? AWS Data Pipeline, Amazon Kinesis, AWS Glue, AWS Lambda. Step functions can use AWS Glue to perform ETL tasks, leveraging its capabilities for data transformation in big data workflows. Which state is used to execute tasks in parallel in AWS Step Functions? Concurrent, multitask, parallel, simultaneous. The parallel state in AWS Step Functions allows you to execute multiple branches of tasks concurrently, enhancing efficiency in workflows with independent subtasks. Which service can step functions use for machine learning tasks? AWS Deep Lens, Amazon Comprehend, AWS Recognition, Amazon SageMaker. Step functions can directly integrate with Amazon SageMaker to orchestrate machine learning workflows, from data preparation to model training and deployment. What is the purpose of the pass state in AWS Step Functions? To pass input to output without performing work. To skip optional tasks. To transfer data between state machines. To bypass error states. The pass state in AWS Step Function simply passes its input to its output without performing any work, often used to inject fixed data into the workflow or to construct complex objects. What is the purpose of the fail state in AWS Step Functions? To retry a failed task. To end the execution as a failure. To log an error. To trigger an alarm. The fail state in AWS Step Functions is used to end the execution and mark it as a failure, often used to handle unrecoverable errors or violations of business logic. Which component in AWS Step Functions represents the entire workflow? Task. State machine. Activity. Step. In AWS Step Functions, a state machine represents the entire workflow, defining all the steps, their order, and the logic that governs transitions between them. What is the purpose of the processor config in a map state? To define memory limits. To configure the item processor function. To specify GPU usage. To set CPU allocation. The processor config in a map state of AWS Step Functions is used to configure the item processor function, which dynamically processes each item in parallel. What is the purpose of the next field in a state? To set a parallel state. To indicate a child state. To specify the next state to transition to. To define a backup state. The next field in a state of AWS Step Function specifies the name of the state to transition to next, defining the primary flow of the workflow. What is the purpose of the succeed state in AWS Step Functions? To signal a positive outcome. To indicate a successful API call. To end the execution successfully. To mark a task as completed. The succeed state in AWS Step Functions is used to end the execution successfully, often used when you want to stop the execution early upon meeting certain conditions. What is the purpose of the seconds path field in a wait state? To dynamically set the wait duration. To set a wait step size. To specify the wait start time. To define a maximum wait time. The seconds path field in a wait state of AWS Step Functions allows you to dynamically set the wait duration based on the state's input, providing flexible delays. What is the purpose of the heartbeat seconds field in an activity state? To specify the heartbeat timeout. To define the task duration. To configure keep alive signals. To set the polling interval. The heartbeat seconds field in an activity state of AWS Step Function specifies how long to wait for a heartbeat before considering the task failed. What is the purpose of the max concurrency field in a map state? To limit parallel executions. To specify max duration. To define max errors. To set maximum retries. The max concurrency field in a map state of AWS Step Functions limits the number of parallel executions, helping to control resource usage and API call rates. And that's a wrap. Thanks to everyone who participated. Remember, you can answer along on quizalto.com, where you can keep track of your progress and find much more quizzes. We hope you had a fun and challenging time. Until next time. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more. Hit the bell icon to be notified as soon as we upload. Please leave a comment if you have any thoughts or suggestions, and if you think this video is worth sharing with someone who could benefit from it, please forward a link to them. See you next time. Thanks for watching.